we are going to move on
Hmm.
into a new segment we're doing, a
Hmm.
little debate segment. And here's what we want to do in this segment. Anyone that's watching the show, feel free to comment, choose a side. If we agree on it, great. If we don't, choose a side because not every episode, but some episodes we're going to do a player versus player where we talk about two players. There might be current versus current, legend versus legend, legend versus current, and we debate. Usually it's going to be players with either similar positions or players that are debated very popular in the media. We're starting out with a really exciting one. This is one that I love to do. I made a YouTube video on this like 6 years ago, and I never posted it. So, and I will say this: since then, my opinion has changed. I'm not going to go into what my old opinion was, but my opinion on this topic has changed a little bit since I made that video 6 years ago. But our first player versus player segment is Dennis Rodman versus Draymond Green. I say that because these are two players that are compared to each other very often. Are they the same exact player? No, but they have a lot of tendencies with their potentially you could say their aggressive on court behavior or some of the way they play basketball. There's a lot of tendencies and similarities between them. And so the question is, who is the better player? Is it Dennis Rodman or is it Draymond Green? I'm going to let you take it away. And this is a really interesting, again, they're not the same exact player, but there's a lot of similarities to go off of. And these are two players that have been on the dynasty teams, that have been all stars, that have been defensive players of the year. I mean, these are players that have racked up the accolades. Who's better? Tell us in the comments who you think.
Okay. Okay. Green. Draymond Green. Do I have to defend myself? Maybe. Will I change my opinion? Never. Is he better? 100%. Okay. So why is he better? Actually, why is he better?
You know what? Guess what?
You agree? Okay.
I agree.
Okay. Okay.
I do agree.
But
I'm with
obviously,
you on this.
yeah, obviously, I do know why he's better. Obviously, his IQ is better. I think the only thing Rodman has over Green is rebounding. But in terms of team play, in terms of shooting, in terms of passing the ball, in terms of IQ, in terms of putting his players in the right spaces, like people don't get it. I'm just going to say this, but shout out to LeBron's podcast, LeBron and JJ. I don't know if you have heard it. Like shout out to that. That give you the in and out of basketball. And people don't get what it takes to put people in places when playing basketball to be able to make good shots. That's what Draymond Green does. He does it on the court. Rodman was crazy. Don't get me wrong. Rodman was probably the one of the if I don't think without Rodman, I don't think they would have won those six they got. But like because his rebounding was very essential, and obviously the catching the alleys and all that good stuff, obviously. But Green, I think one thing that sets him out above all other players, and people actually disrespect it, is the fact that he knows where to put people, his teammates at. If you are watching him, he's always telling Clay. Clay is obviously I don't know. I don't. That's probably a debate for another. Clay is probably better player, but like he's always telling Clay where to go, when to cut, when to do this. Kuminga, where to go, where to defend. Like and the only two, very few people I can think of that actually know how to do that very well. You think of LeBron, you think of CP3, you think of Magic Johnson, right? Those are the guys that you think of that put players where they are meant to be. And Draymond is up there, echelon of
Luca,
basketball
MVP.
IQ. No, no, Luca doesn't do it.
You don't think Luca
I don't think Luca does it.
averaging almost a triple double? He doesn't do it.
That doesn't. Nah, that doesn't. That's there's a difference in getting the assist, right? There's a difference. What I'm saying is, it's not necessarily him getting the assist. It's just being able to tell them where to be at the right time, right? He knows the plays in the head. He knows
Oh, you're
everything.
saying the IQ.
The I
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
that's
okay.
that's. I mean, it's part of the IQ. The IQ has so many things
I get
involved
you.
in
Yeah,
it,
I get you.
but like,
I,
you get what I mean.
I still think Luca's on the list, but you know what? It's okay. I
No,
get
no,
what
no.
you're saying.
Obviously, maybe in terms of basketball IQ, maybe I'm just saying. I just think he's a really good shooter, passer, and
Yeah.
yeah, So.
I like what you said about him putting. So yeah, Draymond Green is a far better player than Dennis Rodman overall. Every point you made is perfect. The only thing that Dennis Rodman had is rebounding, but that's because Dennis Rodman has that on almost any other player in the history of basketball. Dude was grabbing 18 plus rebounds sometimes a game, and this wasn't 1960, 19. I mean, this was the 90s. This was even the early 2000s when he wasn't even averaging any points. He was averaging 10 plus rebounds in the few games he played. This dude was crazy. Draymond Green, his IQ and what he does for the Warriors is insane. What he has done at the same time because of his impact when he's punched Jordan, when he's done things that have been detrimental to the team, they've been even more detrimental because of who he is to that team. When he's got suspended during the playoffs, when he's been out for a game, there are things his presence is missed when he's not on the court. Yes, Steph is great. Yes, Clay is great. But Draymond Green has been one of the driving factors in their playoff success. And when we talk about the debate, if there's any way to put the debate of Draymond Green and Dennis Rodman to rest overall, it's look at their playoff stats. Draymond Green averaging 11.6 points a game to Dennis Rodman's 6.4 points a game. And then we talk about rebounds, correct? Rebounds is what Dennis Rodman is best known for. Draymond Green, 8.9 rebounds to Dennis Rodman's 9.9. So the thing that Dennis Rodman is great at, and the only statistic that he is ahead of Draymond Green is in rebounds, and during the playoffs, Draymond Green is extremely aggressive with boards. It's not like he isn't the whole season, but you see Draymond Green come alive with rebounds during the playoffs, and there's a little bit of extra aggressiveness, and that's gotten him in trouble. We have seen his aggressiveness and his extra drive during the playoffs get him in trouble. But like I said, Draymond Green is leading every single playoff statistic and every single regular season statistic except for rebounds. That is the only statistic he does not lead him in. Now, championships, obviously, Dennis Rodman does have him in championships, but Draymond Green isn't done yet. Is he going to
Mm-hmm.
win anymore with the Warriors? I don't think so, but I think he's going to go to a team and be a role player and win one.
Sorry to Warrior fans. That's just the truth. Like, just you don't
I
win
think it's
one
going to be the
championship. So
Bucks or the Lakers or the 70s. There's going to be a team that I think he's going to go to a team and be a role player and win another chip, and then he would be up there with Rodman. But then again, another thing Rodman had on him was, um, I, I
I mean, he
guess
did have Michael Jordan, so that kind of cancels out everything. So
I mean, fair enough. I
you
will
can't
say,
compare Michael Jordan and Steph Curry. So it's kind of
fair enough. I will say this: Dennis Rodman, obviously one of the best rebounders of all time, if not the best rebounder of all time. If he had any other statistic over Draymond Green, I might have him ahead of him. But because Draymond Green is the better player overall and his impact on the Warriors has been more monumental top to bottom offensively and defensively than Dennis Rodman's was. I've got to give it to Draymond Green. Now, spoiler alert, we're not always going to agree. There's going to be times when we don't, but this was a really
100%.
easy one to agree on. I think. I don't think this was even one. And I think in the comments I saw some Dennis Rodman support and some going. But again, at the end of the day, when you look at the statistics and when you also look at the accolades, they're right there together in accolades. And Pistons Rodman was. I will say I like that Pistons Rodman was definitely different. Pistons Rodman was a different animal. That was I will say as a top to bottom player, Pistons Rodman was Dennis Rodman at his best. I think that the Bulls, especially now the Spurs, like that was a short stint. The
I
Mavs,
mean,
we're
I
not even
mean,
going to count that.
yeah, the Bulls. He had to kind of take a
He had a role.
lesser
He
role.
had
You
a
know,
different he had a
he had
different
it
position.
exactly. He
With the
just had to
Pistons,
be
that
there
was
for Michael. That's all he had to do.
it was a way different. But yes, Pistons. Dennis Rodman was a different animal as an entire player. But when we look at Draymond Green as a whole career, he's been on the Warriors. He's been on one team and had that impact the whole. Now again, in the early days were they winning the games they are now? Absolutely not. But he's had that same aggressive and that same IQ and that same impact the entire time. So definitely shout out to Draymond Green, but also shout out to Dennis Rodman. Um, Dennis Rodman is one of the wildest players of all time, one of the craziest stories, and despite all of that, one of the best players of all time. So shout out to Dennis Rodman. I recommend he has a 30 for 30. I recommend checking that out. It's a really good documentary. super
Yeah.
super goes super in depth on him, and it's really really interesting. But shout out to Dennis Rodman. If there is any debate you guys want on our next player versus player, please let us know in the comments after the video is done being live, during the live, whenever. Let us know. We want to show you guys what you want to see. But we are about to finish our show with a segment that could make some people mad.